We are live. We are live. Welcome to College Football's Peek Around the Corner with your host, Greg Flugar. We cover everything in college football because we love everything in college football. And if you do as well, please subscribe to our ever-growing channel. Smash that like button if you like our content. Share the video with your family and friends. Welcome on into the studio that sits on the corner of Keith Jackson Parkway and Kurt Gowdy Avenue. Do not be afraid. Do not be afraid to be a PATC legend with your comments and with your phone calls later in the show. Welcome in, everybody. Another stacked live show here at College Football's Peek Around the Corner. I'm so humbled. So many people enjoying the program as of late, and I appreciate it so very much that you have come on in early. We have so much to get to. First of all, let me thank the people who arrived early. Skull Ducky. Hello, Randy Taylor. Good afternoon. Scott's in the house. Hi, Nathan. How you doing, sir? R. Webb. Holy smokes. Stephen McNeely. Hello, everyone. The Colorado Buffalo. Richard L. Greg spoiling us with so much content. You are spoiling me just for showing up, Richard. Jay Puremutter. Mr. Bruin's in the house. Steve, Bearcat Steve, is in here as well. Hagen, good afternoon. Good afternoon to you, sir. Kirk Bender. Hey, Greg. Hey, Kirk. How you doing? John Till, let's go. Let's go! Kenneth Stormness. Hi, Greg. Nice for you to drop on in. Stormness, I appreciate it. Boomer. Becky, go Huskies. It's one of those weeks in college football. Yeah. Do Michigan fans still believe they did nothing wrong? Some of them did. Some of them do know. Jim Reese, what's up with so much content. There's a lot of content out there. Plus, ladies and gentlemen, for those new to the program, this is what we did in the off season. This is what we were going to do during the college football season. Unfortunately, my father, 93-year-old father, was very ill. The last couple months of the summer, into September, he passed away. I was trying to provide as much content, as quality as content as I could. It was just, because I was up all night taking care of my father, up all day, it was very difficult. We buried him, or he passed away. Funeral was September 12th. Then the wife and I had to go on a vacation to Little General because I needed to heal up a little bit. Still doing that a little bit. So now we are at full. Now we're just going like we were before. So I appreciate you all coming back to the show because, quite honestly, I didn't know if anyone was going to come back to Peek Around the Corner. But I'm glad a lot of you did. I appreciate it. I do appreciate it. We have, again, if you're new to the channel, please subscribe to the channel. Hit that notification bell. You get notified of the next time we're coming on live because here at Peek Around the Corner, we don't really schedule our stuff once in a while in advance, but usually we follow where the story goes and the timing of the story as best as we can. So make sure you subscribe to the show, hit the notification bell. You got a decent chance to get notified. Follow us at Flug Empire on X, formerly known as Twitter. Sometimes we give you a notification, a heads up on that account. And then smash that like button. It helps us with the algorithms of YouTube so very much. We survive on donations. We don't do memberships, so hit that $sign with a comment. We'll get to a comment as fast as we can. The donations help us keep the lights on. We appreciate it so very much. We have a stacked show. More, and we're going to hit the Michigan stuff first. Richard Johnson from SI, text messages from Connor Stalions, text messages from Connor Stalions to friends, and there are people talking. There are people, more and more people are going to be coming out of the woodwork and talking. This is just one example of what we're going to see. So we're going to go over that story from SI. Then we're going to go over what Jim Phillips, the ACC commissioner, said today. And he uses the phrases he used to describe the current ACC is not the phrase he would have used last year, and the year before, and quite frankly, Swafford and any other ACC commissioner that came before Jim Phillips. I'm so interested to hear what you all have to say in the comments section and with your phone calls later in the show. It's just it's just a way he phrased it. The stability, why they expanded, building a fortress, right? Protecting its fortress, the ACC fortress, by expanding. That's the title of the show. First, we're going to get to Michigan. Then we're going to get to the ACC. And then we're going to do our picks against the spread. It's Wednesday. We're already in the middle of the week. And going into this week, my record against the spread is 29 wins, 32 losses, 2 ties. The PATC community is 25, 36, and 2. So we got a lot of work ahead of us, both of us, to try to get over 500. But first, let's get to Thank you, our web. I appreciate it. PATC's addictive truth telling. Thank you so much for the generosity, our web. Thank you so very much. And I am, with your permission, our web, I'm going to steal that phrase from you and use it as one of the PATC taglines. With your permission, give me a Y, give me a yes, our web, if you will allow me to steal that from you. Or give me a no and I won't use it. But please give me a Y on that beautiful phrasing. The PATC community, with your artwork, with what you say in the chat, with your phone calls, with your DMs to me, keeping your head on a swivel. There's no host in college football YouTube channels that lean more on their community more than I do. Nobody leans on the people that come and watch their show. I lean on you guys way more than anybody else does. And I'm the fat guy from Minnesota, so when I lean on you, it's pretty heavy. Pretty heavy stuff. Thank you, our web. Thank you. I'm stealing it. And you know, our web, when I steal something, later on I pretend it was I who created it, number one, and I'm going to run it into the ground. I'm going to use it over and over and over again until the point where you're going to get sick of it, our web, and then you're going to say, I never even created that tagline. Let me, before, there's one comment here. Thank you, our web. Appreciate the tagline, and I appreciate your generosity. Rumor has it that it's someone inside the Michigan program turned Michigan in on this scandal. John Bacon, very respected Michigan columnist in the state of Michigan, he's talking about it. I don't think I'm gonna hit that today. I'm gonna let that story marinate a little bit, Lee. It has to do with the minority owner of the Minnesota Vikings, who is a Michigan alumni. We've already got a stack show. I want to poke and prod on that part of the story from the people who I talk to. So I'm not going to hit that quite yet. At least I don't think so. Unless, keep your head on a swivel, Lee and everybody else, because as we're doing this live show, there's a very good chance that more stuff is going to come out. And we're all going to have to keep our head on a swivel, and we're going to have to run around. So, yes, I've read that. It's interesting. It's coming from a very good columnist, a lot of credibility. But he says something like he believes that's the case. I'm not sure that he's got it nailed down. So, Jim Stapleton. Yeah, some people are calling him a racist. I don't know anything about that either. I have to look into that. Okay, so let's get into the story. First, let's get into the Michigan story. Now, hold on, everybody. I just want to check something here. Things are fast moving. I want to make sure we're not missing anything. Okay, I think we're good. Sort of. Wow. Well, yeah, there is something. Okay. This is going to be a pretty man, I don't know. I mean, what am I supposed to do? Have 5-hour live shows I mean, this is ridiculous. Now we got information coming out, breaking news on the Washington State, Oregon State situation. Good. John Teal, thank you so much. Headphone, camera, mic, you're dressed to steal. Thank you for your super chat, John. I appreciate your generosity. Now, and this is what happens. Okay, you know what, guys? We're gonna have to jump into a different story. We're gonna get into the Michigan story. I promise. We're gonna get into the ACC story. I promise. This is not a bait and switch. Well, it kind of is, but it isn't. I'm gonna get into those stories. But there's breaking news here. Breaking new filings in the Washington State, Oregon State lawsuit versus the Pac-12 include multiple sworn statements by Kliavkoff, an internal document that show USC, UCLA were removed from board post 6/30/2022, possibly establishing precedent for Pac-2 control of the conference. I'm also going to show you something else here. Since we're into it, let's just get into it. And then we'll go into the other big stories. We got big stories, lapping over big stories. So this is holy smokes. Bear with me, everybody. I do apologize. I know that the show has to do with Michigan. Gigantic story. The story's been pushed further. ACC story. We got to get into it. We're going to get into it. But this is breaking stuff here. So everybody just buckle up. Brace for impact. Who knows what today's going to bring us. We're just going to go with it. I like to be organized, but today is not going to be one of those days. Let me see what I can do here. This is Ross Dellinger. Discovery has produced evidence to support Oregon State, Washington State's claims, as well as outlining the final hours of the Pac-12. One of the more interesting bits, George Kliavkoff learned that Colorado was exiting the conference through a text from the Colorado's chancellor. Oregon State, Washington State believe the outgoing 10 Pac-12 schools would dissolve the league and redistribute the millions in Pac-12 assets per a preliminary injunction filed today as part of a legal fight. The 10 have no allegiance to the Pac-12. Now, let's just see. Colorado delivers notice of withdrawal and automatically loses its board seat pursuant to the bylaws. On the morning of July 27, 2023, Philip DiStefano, Chancellor of Colorado, texted Commissioner Kliavkoff stating that the Colorado Board of Directors intended to vote later that afternoon to join the Big 12 Conference. Colorado released a statement today containing the official announcement of its withdrawal. Just as it had done with USC UCLA, the conference took immediate steps to confirm Colorado's representative had automatically been removed from the board. On July 28th, the Pac-12's General Counsel, Scott Petersmeyer, sent a letter to Colorado acknowledging the Pac-12's receipt of the University of Colorado's delivery of notice of withdrawal from the Pac-12 to join the Big 12 Conference. The letter also stated under Section CB 2-3 of the Pac-12's Constitution and bylaws, Chancellor Steve Stefano and Colorado's representation on the board of the Pac-12 Board of Directors automatically ceases effective immediately, and Colorado no longer has the right to vote on any matter before the board. Let's see if there's anything else new in here. This is stuff filed by Washington State and Oregon State to the courts. Colorado's notice of withdrawal came when the Pac-12 was on the cusp of reaching a groundbreaking and lucrative media rights agreement with Apple. Schultz, following Colorado's notice of withdrawal, the then 9 non-departing Pac-12 members, board representatives continued to meet to discuss the path forward with Apple. After several board meetings and robust discussion among the remaining board representatives and following a board meeting held on the evening of Thursday, August 3rd, 2023, the plaintiffs believe that the plaintiffs, being Washington State and Oregon State, believe that the 9 remaining members had decided to stay together, pursue the Apple deal, and move forward with the Pac-12. The 9 non-departing members, representatives, scheduled a meeting for the following morning, Friday, August 4th. And we know what happened on August 4th. Minutes before the August 4th, 2023 board meeting was scheduled to commence. Oregon and Washington delivered a shocking announcement that they were withdrawing from the Pac-12 to join the Big Ten. In addition, according to Schultz here, in addition to the public announcements, both universities wrote letters to the conference announcing that they would not be delivering a grant of rights authorization to the conference for any time beyond August 1st, 2024. That's when the current grant of rights ends, on August 1st, 2024. In a formalistic attempt to avoid application of the bylaws and removal from the board, an outcome mandated by the bylaws that Washington and Oregon and Washington had assented to each of the other departing schools. Their letter stated, for the sake of clarity, the university is not delivering a notice of withdrawal from the conference at this time. Wow. Very interesting. Back and forth. Now, I have been on record. I think Washington State and Oregon State have a very, very good case against USC, UCLA, Colorado. They left. Same with Arizona. Same with Arizona State. Same with Utah. The Washington and Oregon thing is pretty interesting because they were a little bit more proactive when they gave notice to the Pac-12 that they were leaving the conference. They actually said, this is not a withdrawal notice. So very interesting. Anyways, let's get to the big stories that we were going to cover today. And then we can get back to the Oregon State, Washington State, the Pac-12. You can give me a comment, phone calls, anything you want. Let's get to it. Richard Johnson, Sports Illustrated, earlier today, Michigan's Connor Stalions texted that he stole opponent signals from TV. Well, he did a lot more than stealing it from TV. But anyways, and had a vision for the Wolverines. In a lengthy text exchange from 2021, Stalions boasted of a sign stealing and close relations with the Wolverines' whole staff. He said he envisioned leading Michigan football one day. Wow. He said he envisioned leading Michigan football one day, and to prepare was creating a 100-page long document he called the Michigan Manifesto. Dun, 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 dun. It did not take long. It did not take Connor Stalions long, into the text conversation to start boasting about his connections to the Michigan football team. I'm close with the whole staff, he wrote. Particularly, he said, he became close with CP, and Jay Harbs, apparently referring to current linebackers coach Chris Partridge and running backs and assistant special teams coach Jay Harbaugh, who is the son of head coach Jim Harbaugh. Pre-COVID, stole opponent's signals during the week, watching TV copies, then flew to the game and stood next to Michigan offensive coordinator Josh Gaddis and told him what coverage pressure he was getting. Stalions continued. Pre-COVID. You see that? Pre-COVID. Stole opponent signals during the week watching TV copies. That is legal. If you can steal a signal, a hand signal, watching TV copy, which is very difficult, or watching the All 22, which is very difficult. All 22 doesn't show the sidelines. If it does, it just shows it just a little bit. Pre-COVID, he stole the opponent's signals during the week watching TV copies. And that, my friends, is not illegal. But that was pre-COVID. Let's continue. These texts are part of a lengthy back and forth in January and February 2021 between Stalions and a then student at a Power 5 school who was looking to break into college football industry. The specific act Stalions described, deciphering opponent signals off of TV footage, is not against NCAA rules. In the last week, though, the now suspended Michigan staffer has become a household name across college football following accusations and reports that he orchestrated an elaborate scheme to place unnamed associates of his in stadiums of Michigan's opponents to scout, in some cases film, opposing coaches' signals. Both acts are very much against the rules. The former Power 5 student, now get this, ladies and gentlemen. The former Power 5 student shared the full text conversation with Sports Illustrated. And that's the problem with this huge, elaborate scheme that Stalions pulled off. Now the leaks are coming. Now people are talking. And maybe Stalions himself is going to have to talk, because maybe he's in potential he might have a problem legally. And we'll get to that story later on with what he did at the Naval Academy. The former Power 5 student shared the full text conversation with Sports Illustrated. And I got to believe there's other people sharing information with other outlets right now, today. Verifying the message origin by removing Stalions' name and his contacts to reveal phone number. That number was linked to Stalions' name on the public database white pages. So they have it. This is Stalions' text messages. There was no response when SI called and texted the number. Stalions' text messages to the student provide a vivid picture of his motivations, revealing an aspiring coach obsessed with helping Michigan while looking to build his own career and one day lead the program. A Michigan spokesperson said that due to the ongoing NCAA investigation, nobody can talk right now. We'll skip over that. Jim Harbaugh has also denied knowledge of any plan to legally steal signals, said he did not direct any staff members to participate in the off-campus scouting. I do not condone or tolerate anyone doing anything illegal or against NCAA rules, he said. Gaddis, now Maryland's offensive coordinator, the university declined to make him available for comment. You see, Gaddis is no longer under Jim Harbaugh. He's no longer the offensive coordinator. He's at Maryland. But Maryland is not letting him be available. At some point, Gaddis is going to have to make himself available, right? Very, very interesting. SI could not independently confirm the veracity of Stalions' claims about his relationships with Michigan coaches. Several pictures of him have emerged in recent days, though, of him standing in prominent positions on the Wolverines sideline. A review of Stalions' now deleted Venmo account did show that Jay Harbaugh sent Stalions money in 2017 with the OK hand gesture emoji in the memo line, though no purpose or amount for the transfer was indicated. A Michigan native, Stalions officially joined the Wolverine staff in the spring of 2022. ESPN has reported that on his now deactivated LinkedIn page, Stalions said he served as a Marine from 17 to 22 and started in 15, also helped Michigan football as a volunteer assistant in hopes of building the platform for a future career. That was the position he apparently held during the text exchange. Stalions, now 28, revealed that he was a part of a small group of people, two of whom he said were at low-level positions on different college football coaching staffs who were putting their heads together in a long-term plan to run the Michigan football program. Stalions claimed to have a Google document between 550 and 600 pages long that he managed daily, containing a blueprint for the Wolverines' future. He referred the document as a movement more than a plan, dubbing it the Michigan Manifesto. Any idea you could ever have, he wrote, there's a place where it belongs in the document. It's super organized. Stalions wrote, I think it's pretty rare to find the right type of people who can grasp a vision of the future and want to team up and run. Bleep. And we all got our own stuff going on, but we all got some pretty unique approaches. Basically, the way I see it, there's a future Ohio State head coach and a staff out there somewhere, preparing for whether they know it or not. And we have a group of a half dozen planning, bleep, 15 or years out, and another dozen or two on board. So by the time it's ready to rock, we're all on the same page, and we quickly make Michigan the ultimate standard. Holy smokes. This gentleman, he's pretty grandiose. There he is, right there in the picture. Always next to the offensive coordinator when Michigan has the ball, it seems like. Next to the defensive coordinator when Michigan is on defense. Now, this is where it gets a little bit interesting for Connor Stalions. Stalions graduated from the Naval Academy in 2017. During his time at Annapolis, he worked as a student assistant with the football team. In the course of this conversation with the Power 5 student, the text messages that SI got, which extended over about 3 weeks, Stalions would claim that shortly after graduation, he obtained a decade's worth of high school national standardized test scores and GPAs for approximately 500 midshipman football players. Data that he should not have been allowed to possess. He claimed he simply went to the admissions office, name dropped the coach, while he said the admissions office told him to delete the data the following day. Stalions was coy over whether he had and made clear that he used the data to inform his recruiting philosophy. The Naval Academy neither confirmed or denied. They did not deny that it had shared data with Stalions. Individual data obtained through the Naval Academy admissions process to include high school test scores and GPAs is protected under the Privacy Act and not shared or made available outside the Office of Admissions. Any Naval Academy official who inappropriately accessed the data would be subject to criminal and civil penalties associated with the Privacy Act. Stalions told the student that the data led him to conclude there is a direct. Now, if he's telling the truth, if Stalions telling the truth, and the data led him somewhere, we're going to get to that right now. That means he had it for more than a day. That means he did not delete when the admissions told him to delete it, right? You can't have a bunch of data of 500 midshipman student athletes and figure out a trend within one day. So if he's telling the truth in this next part, that means he did not delete the data, and I think he's in a whole lot of trouble when it comes to that, allegedly. Stalions told the student that he's text messaging with, right, for those 3 weeks. Now that SI has those text messages. Stalions told the student that the data led him to conclude there's a direct relationship among test scores, GPAs, and the work habits of athletes. Stalions' pet theory was the athletes. Pet theory was the athletes with the lower SAT and ACT scores but a high GPA would be strong performers on the field because while test scores indicate intelligence, GPAs give you work ethic. Those students essentially were outworking their natural abilities. However, I'm going to just say, I'm not going to say it. Stalions claim he had presented it to other coaches. In his conversation with the student, Stalions described working along two tracks. One was the long term, the Michigan Manifesto. The other was short term, creating what he called products, apparently meaning pieces of analysis or insight that coaches would find useful. The analysis of recruits' GPAs and test scores is one example. Basically, he texted, this is Connor Stalions, basically, for providing products to coaches, what I'm saying is they have a paid staff they utilize to get what they need. He texted, you can't ask them what they need. You have to tell them what they need. But it can't be up for interpretation. It has to be very straightforward, unique, and useful. If it's not one of those three things, it's pointless. While at the Naval Academy, a source close to the football program described Stalions as obsessed with Michigan to an excessive degree. It was not uncommon for Stalions, even as a Navy student assistant, to attend Michigan games while the midshipmen weren't playing at home in Annapolis. A photo from the 2014, now deleted Facebook of Stalions showed him in his midshipman dress uniform with former Wolverines defensive end Frank Clark. It goes on. I've grown up my entire life with a vision to coach football at Michigan, Stalions told the publication. On and on and on. Then it gets into the Arizona. He helped out Fish, the coach. We're not going to get into that. It's not relevant to what we're talking about. But this story of Richard Johnson and Sports Illustrated doesn't really get to the heart of what Stalions did in 2022 and 2023. It doesn't give evidence. It doesn't push the story forward. But it does give a glimpse into the motivation of Connor Stalions. He wants to be a coach. He wants to be the coach in Michigan. He wants to give them information that they can use. A lot of young coaches are in the same boat, right? You want to show success. Here's a guy who potentially used information, data from the Naval Academy he should not have had his hands on to come up with some theory about GPA, test scores, and your performance on the field. And according to Stalions, he shared that information, that theory, with that data with some coaches. And of course, that data, it's illegal for him to have that data. So, one of the main things coming out of the story, if all that is true, if he collected that data, kept that data to make this theory, there's something over his head. This is a criminal, potential civil case, and he might be willing to talk, right? Maybe, possibly. Now, this is one student at a Power 5 institution at the time. That 3 weeks of text messages between Stalions and this guy, there's going to be people. I think you should not be shocked that other people are talking right now, are willing to talk about the communications with Connor Stalions, because it looks like he was pretty proud of all this. He had grandiose ideas. And again, it's not illegal to steal signals from a TV, from game tape. But it is illegal to steal hand signals using in-person scouting. And the breadth of that in-person scouting, the complex plan, the number of people involved, the money that's involved, it is quite shocking. Let me point to a few other things here. This is, now, a lot of people Grateful Trojan, my position has completely changed. Harbaugh didn't know the kid was rogue. And I understand why you go into that, because this this young man, he's got Michigan Manifesto. We just went through the story. Yeah, he could be rogue. But there's no way that Jim Harbaugh did not find out about this. There's no way. The placards, he's right there along with the offensive defensive coordinator and with the Stalions. There's no way. Or Jim Harbaugh is a bumbling idiot and he's lost control of the program anyways. So either way, I understand that maybe the young man went rogue at the beginning, but you did not know. You've had to know. You've had to know. Breaking news, Mel Tucker has been found responsible in the Michigan State situation. Thanks for that. Let me get into, now, people say, let's say Michigan did this. Let's say all this evidence is true. What type of advantage did they have? Seriously. And don't other schools do this? If it's so advantageous, is Michigan the only one who has cheated in this particular manner? Of course, I can't answer that question. But a lot of coaches, former coaches and current coaches anonymously are saying, Kirby Smart just said it, Georgia. He goes, I've never heard of this. I've never seen it done. I don't know anyone who's done this. Other coaches are coming out. Let's take a look at what Bob Stoops said. If it's true, this is Bob Stoops on Michigan. If it's true, oh, absolutely. That's ridiculous. Listen, everyone acts like it happens all the time. No, it doesn't. I've never heard that in all my years of football and everywhere, every team I've ever been on. Sure, we do look across the field. And if you can see it, that's your job to do. If I'm able to just in my plain eye to look over and know what they're doing, I should be doing that. But the video people, to video people, or to send people to scout and marry up a signal with a play, no, 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 that's terrible. It goes against everything we're about. That's wrong. If it happened, I'm not saying it did. I've never heard of that. Never been around anybody who has done it. Now look, I looked across. This is funny. I looked across and I knew Mike Leach's signals. And he was bold enough not to change them. We would call out what they were running. Mike, he's like, well, they can't stop it. Well, we did plenty. So that's different. If you can see anything without filming and without going to scout, that's a different deal. If you do that, that's as wrong as it gets. And this is Bob Stutz. There's other coaches coming out. This is not done. This is not done. It's just too much of an advantage. It's too much. It's just too much. I'll get to your comments right now before I get to the ACC story. That magnificent Michigan Manifesto just rolls off the tongue, doesn't it, Greg? Nothing rolls off my tongue very easily. Go Black 45. Nothing really rolls off my tongue very easily. I'm not very good with all those words. Why don't they just give the linebacker a headset in college like they do in the NFL? I think they're going to give people headsets, hopefully next year. But they haven't been. And there's a couple reasons why. Cost, inequity among the schools that play at the same level of football. It'd be unfair. Some had that and some didn't. And then there have been schools, according to reports, that are very good at stealing hand signals, and they didn't want to change. They like the hand signals because they are good at, in the game, figuring things out. That's part of the game. Part of the game. It's always been part of the game. Hopefully though, it changes. Immaculate. I don't know if Harbaugh knew, but it's starting to look like we're getting leaks from the opposite end of this trial by public opinion. I think the leaks, have just begun. We're going to get a lot of different angles on this. And I think it's going to come up all pretty bad. All pretty bad. One gigantic poker game. Yep. Stealing signals during the game. It's always been there. And Tennessee's coach said something similar today. There's been quite a few that have said basically the same thing. Steal a sign during the game? Of course. It's part of the game. In scouting, in-person scouting, no way. We don't do it. Too much of an advantage. That's beyond the pale. This is what we're looking at here. Opie, thanks for coming on in. Appreciate it. So this story I thought was significant because a person that Connor Stalions communicated with was willing to just say, here, SI, you've got the information. And if Connor Stalions was willing to text that information about what he was doing pre-COVID, did he text anybody the information what he was doing post-COVID? And if he did, are those people or peoples willing to share the information? I think that's probably the next part of the story. Also, the money thing, the money part of the story. Where did he get the money to do all this? Because this was a big, big, complex scheme that Stalions was running. 30, what? Are we up to 35 games or 37 games? 17 different college football stadiums that he sent people to. Some of them multiple tickets, always primetime tickets. It's not looking good. Now, let's get to the ACC story. This is LFG says 35 college football games, 17 different venues. Thank you, LFG. Great for Trojan saying he supposedly rented out his house and lived out of his car. If you got a report on that, Great for Trojan, please send it to my DM. I had not seen that. Is that being reported, or is that just someone's conjecture? And Opie says, man, so I guess a booster or boosters gave him money for this. We don't know. We don't know. ACC's Jim Phillips reinforces decision to expand. Suggests basketball tournament may not include all members. From Brendan Marks, Charlotte, Atlantic Coast Conference Commissioner Jim Phillips. Now, we provide a link in the description. So after the show, you can read the whole thing, just like we did with the SI article. We did not go through the whole SI article. I don't think we're going to go through this whole article because we got lots more to do on this show. But there is a couple of things we need to point out here. Again, from Brandon Marks. Atlantic Coast Conference Commissioner Jim Phillips speaking Wednesday for the first time since the league's decision to add Cal, Stanford, and SMU, reiterated why the league opted to expand, but did not preclude additional future movement. Getting to 18 protects the ACC now and into the future, Phillips said at the ACC tip-off. Schools will ultimately make the decisions that they want. Holy smokes. Phillips' language during this talk that he gave was very passive. The language that he used, and we talked about it when the show began today, this is the language he would not have used last year, the year before. Swalford would have never used it. This is different. Phillips is saying schools will ultimately make the decisions that they want. He's not saying, well, no one's going anywhere because of the ACC grant of rights. He's not saying that. Getting to 18 protects the ACC. In other words, the ACC needed protection. The ACC needed protection. Schools will ultimately make the decisions that they want. Ultimately, whenever that is, schools are going to make decisions, and there's not much Phillips can do about it. There is things he can do about it, but ultimately, it almost sounds like if he's saying if a school wants to go, there is the means for them to do it through negotiation, I believe. As the Athletic previously reported in the ACC's first vote regarding expansion, 4 schools, North Carolina State, Clemson, and Florida State, voted no. before North Carolina State flipped and gave the league majority needed to proceed. The 3 schools that voted no are considered the 3 most desirable brands in the ACC and the ones that would be most attractive to the SEC and Big Ten in any future round of conference realignment. Earlier this summer, Florida State Board of Trustees even said publicly that under the league's current financial model, it would be forced to consider leaving the conference. What's interesting is this is the ACC tip-off, right? Jim Phillips, the commissioner, spoke here on October 25th. And in 2 days from now, the Florida State Board of Trustees has a meeting. And the last part of the meeting is an open forum for any member of the Board of Trustees to talk. The last time they had that, well, you know what happened. Thus far, the ACC granted rights its media rights contract with ESPN, which runs through 2036, has prevented any current members from departing. But as how he has handled the league's 3 dissenting members since the expansion was finalized, get a load of this, PATC community. But asked how he has handled the league's 3 dissenting members since the expansion was finalized, that's Florida State, Clemson, North Carolina, Phillips said, I cannot control individual feelings on campuses, but we have addressed head-on anything that our campuses have indicated. In other words, the revenue. The revenue during this expansion with SMU, California, Stanford, there is more money going to the ACC schools. Phillips is saying, I can't control the feelings. After Florida State's public unrest regarding the league's current financial model, the ACC agreed to consider alternative revenue distribution models that better reward teams' on-field success and the investments that lead to it. In late May, the league announced it had embraced one of those models, which will reward teams for their postseason success. On top of that, by adding Cal, SMU, and Stanford, the league is due 3 more annual membership shares from ESPN as part of its pro rata contract with the league. But one of the conditions of adding those new schools was that they received reduced or no distribution amounts for a period upon joining. The no amounts is SMU. That will create a new pool of funds to reward the league's existing and more successful members. What else did Phillips say? The commissioner also addressed for the first time the complicated scheduling and travel logistics that will result from the expansion. Asked about whether or not the ACC basketball tournament will look like, I should say, asked about what the tournament's going to look like with 18 teams, Phillips said he's not necessarily married to the idea that all teams will participate in the ACC basketball tournament at the end of the ACC regular season. I think you got to earn your way to play in. I think the most prestigious postseason basketball tournaments in the country. And if you don't get to a certain threshold, then you just don't make it in that year. So it doesn't sound like it's going to be an 18 conference tournament in basketball. And then I want to get to Opie, thank you so much for the generosity. I appreciate it. Hit that like button, folks. It costs nothing except a 1/10 of a second. Thank you so much for your generosity, Opie. I appreciate it. You're helping us keep the lights on. Thank you so much. Yeah, smash that like button. Smash away if you like the content. I hope you do. Here's something here. Brendan Marks, the ACC commissioner, Jim Phillips, on why the league decided to add Cal, Stanford, SMU, next summer? This is Jim Phillips' answer: to enrich and strengthen the ACC athletically, academically, and financially, while also pursuing stability. Phillips: this is the PATC money shot of the ACC story. Phillips: became apparent that we needed to try to do something financially as well as protect the fortress. This had been my ACC expansion take for a long time. This is Brian Murphy. Additions were all about protecting the conference for the next round of realignment. This is about when you lose schools, you're already going to have Stanford, California, and SMU in the fold. This is what I want to talk about before we get to our picks against the spread. And then we're going to get to your comments and with your phone calls. There has been people, JD, the Seminole, our PAT Seminole who calls us, I think he agrees with this. There's people out there that think the negotiations are already happening. Now, I haven't heard that. If it's happening and I haven't heard that, I'm going to be taking the big L. The people I've talked to say they don't believe that's happening. Or there's nobody willing to spill the beans on it if it is. But it's just so interesting. Let's just pretend. We're pretending. I'm not reporting this. We're pretending here. Let's just say, for the sake of discussion and potential argument between us, let's say there are negotiations going on. Let's say North Carolina, Florida State, Clemson they're in talks with the ACC. They're going to get the number that they need to settle before they make this announcement of, we intend to leave the ACC and we want to do a settlement. SMU paid their way into the conference. We want to pay our way out of the conference. Let's just pretend that is happening. I don't know if it is, but let's pretend it is. It's kind of interesting that if you are pretending that's happening, every one of Jim Phillips' statements and all these actions that all these schools are doing kind of fits into that storyline, doesn't it? In a weird way. You know, Florida State, Clemson, North Carolina, they're the three schools that seems to have the most traction. Clemson and being able to find a land spot with Big Ten and the SEC. Florida State has said a lot in public. We've seen the reports, a couple reports out of leaks with Clemson. We've gone through those stories. North Carolina, I can promise you there's chatter behind the curtain on that. We haven't really had a public article on it, but just take that. And then, Jim Phillips and the rest of the ACC schools work hard. They try to expand the conference by 3, and they got it done. And it's up to 18. Jim Phillips is talking about building his fortress. He's got his fortress. If 3 leave, he doesn't have to worry at that point in time about membership going under 15. And Jim Phillips, the very first page of the article, Brendan Marks today said he's not precluding other expansion in the future. I haven't heard my And the Florida State money perch hasn't heard. The idea was always that, and we still believe this, that the next big moment of the story is when one or two or three schools declare real close to each other that their intentions are to leave the ACC, and then that would start off the negotiations. But what if it's already happening now? What if we haven't heard that? I'm not reporting that. I don't have any dots of information on that whatsoever. Not only do I not have it, I believe nobody else I spoke to has it, unless they're keeping that in a different compartment, not sharing it with me. No articles have alluded to that from national reporters. It's probably not happening, but I wanted to bring that up as a possibility because other people have, and I've kind of shooed it away. Maybe I shouldn't be shooing it away. I don't want to be stuck in my own silo here. I want to make sure we have our lens wide open enough to take in all different light, right? All different information. At the very least, it has become quite apparent that Jim Phillips has information, communication, that those three schools, at least those three, but those three for now, might be are that he won't have time to backfill, that he needed to do it, that this could happen. This is more real than it's ever been. This is in the Holy Smokes Theater in the beginning of October. We said it's going to be a busy month. The chatter was high. The chatter was loud. I gave as much information that I could possibly give. We didn't give all the information that we have. It doesn't really push the story that much farther, but it does, but we're not able to deliver it at this time. But it all centers around those three same schools: Clemson, Florida State, and North Carolina. We don't really have anything on Miami, Florida. We don't have anything on Virginia. They're all in the 15th row of the theater. Notre Dame and the NBC thing, we reported that to you all. Those negotiations are lukewarm at best. So more every day, drip, 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 drip. This story is not going away, and it's not going to slow down. I got a feeling that there is some people out there, reporters, that are sitting on some more drip, 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 drip stories. And they got to get the okay, they got to get the green light to run with it. So I'm warning you. I warned you at the beginning of October. I'm warning you we're getting to the end of October. I've warned you about the first quarter of 2024. It was told to us by the Florida State Money Perch on December 26, 2022, first quarter of 2024. And all this seems, we did an article, we did the breaking news of Dennis Dodd yesterday about Clemson. They hired somebody 6 months ago to look at Clemson's value in the marketplace with the media companies, with the conferences, Big Ten and the SEC. 6 months ago, they hired a firm, a consulting firm, the head guy, the guy who owns it. 6 months of work. You better believe Clemson has all the information they need. Are they negotiating with the ACC without telling us at Peek Around the Corner first? Are any of these schools, have they communicated the ACC officially, non-officially? My guess would be no. but I'm not going to completely slam the door on it. Are they talking to the ACC in a way that can't be picked up by FOIA, Freedom of Information Act? FOIA is being used in the Oregon State, Washington State, Pac-12 situation. FOIA has been used by Brian Murphy, News and Observer, picking up communication between North Carolina and Jim Delaney back on June 30th, 2022. So, you know these reporters. I got to be careful. People are, remember when I used to always talk about the Big 12 drama and the Colorado being at the center of the stage and all that? And I said, reporters are on the hunt. Reporters are on the hunt on this ACC drama. They're using FOIA. They're using every resource they have, any connection. So, I don't think negotiations are going on right now. But I'm not going to completely slam the door shut. And I'm going to do my own poking and a prodding on that far out scenario. I still think it's far out. But I'm not going to slam the door shut anymore. Because the way that Jim Phillips is talking, the phrases that he's using, am I the only one who thinks that he has a strong, Jim Phillips, let me put it this way. Jim Phillips has a strong impression of where this is going. And his impression is they're going to lose 3 teams. And it's not going to be in 5 or 6 years from now. It's going to be shorter than that. It's going to be 2 years from now, 3 years from now. Okay, now we'll get to your comments on ACC, on the Michigan story. Again, I'm sorry for the long monologue, but as you can just imagine, I'm trying to keep up with everything. And here's another breaking story. Somebody in the chat room broke to us. Mel Tucker has been found responsible for sexually harassing and exploiting prominent activist Brenda Tracy. Michigan State's hearing officer deemed Tucker's account less plausible, less consistent, and less supported by the evidence than hers. This is not shocking. Unfortunately, it's not shocking. Very disturbing story. I'm trying to make sure okay, so it's one of those things you don't know. I don't like to go with something I don't like just to throw something out there without me investigating it a little bit. So sometimes I got to hold off. Cameron B, look for 4 more schools wanting to leave the ACC. Thank you so much, Cameron B, for your continued generosity to the show. Jayhawks, we're going to be picking that game against the spread here in a couple minutes. So buckle up, Cameron B. Tony, tough Tony, go for Greg. Did you see the SEC short of Michigan today? SEC short, go to their YouTube channel. They did a short video, SEC short. on Michigan. They did the main guy who runs that YouTube channel was sitting behind a chair, acting like he was kind of Stalions, instructing instructing people to go to the stadium, and it's a funny clip. Yes, I did see it, Tony, and I would advise everybody to go to SEC Shorts and give it a watch. They do a great job. They mock everybody. They mock the schools in the SEC. They mock everybody. Very funny show. Speaking of Michigan, man, Greg could definitely pull off a Brady Holt costume for Halloween. Or Fred Flintstone. I've done Fred Flintstone before. Let me, yeah, those guys are funny. Thank you, Tony. Thank you, Cameron B. I appreciate it. Those guys are funny, no doubt about it. Chad Bracey, thanks for coming on in. I'm addicted to the Cloak and Dagger news. Look forward to it after work on the way home. Appreciate it, Chad. Before we get to your comments on Michigan, on ACC, we got to do the picks against the spread. This time, you, the PATC community, is first in your picks. So let's get to it right now. You know how it works. You know how it works. Okay, I put up the poll. You guys have to pick who you're going to take. The majority rules. Let's get to it. We always put the favorite down in the poll question. Does UCF, University of Central Florida, cover the -7-point spread versus West Virginia? Does UCF cover the 7-point spread versus West Virginia? UCF is favored by 7. The poll, this voting starts now. We'll do the selections. I'll go through and pick the same games, and then we'll get to your phone calls. We're going to get to your phone calls as soon as possible. We'll get to the comments. The donation, if you put a donation on it, we'll get to it quick. Appreciate everybody for coming on in. Wow. The vote is close. Does UCF cover the 7 points? West Virginia's lost 2 in a row. UCF played Oklahoma pretty close. It's a 50-50 vote. I'm going to give this 5 more seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Closing it up. 55% says no. 55% says no. The community, the PATC community, has taken West Virginia. Let's get to the next one. Oklahoma and Kansas. Oh no. Does Oklahoma cover the 10-point spread versus Kansas? Whoops. I screwed that up. Does Oklahoma cover -10-point spread versus Kansas? Voting starts now. Does the Sooners cover the 10-point spread against the Jayhawks? Stephen McNeely says, is Daniels playing for Kansas? If I had that information, McNeely, I wouldn't give it up. I would not give it up, not right now. And we got another close vote. Holy smokes. Another very close vote. The PATC community is fractured today. I'm going to give it 5 more seconds. The voting, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 53% says Oklahoma. So far, the PATC community has taken Oklahoma and West Virginia. 2 very close votes. The third out of the 8 games that were taken in week number 9 does Clemson. Cover the 10-point spread versus NC State. Clemson is 4-3. 4-3. They're slipping. But North Carolina State, again, they haven't had the season they thought they could have. Already switched up the quarterbacks. This voting starts now. Right now, the vote is not close. Interesting. Very, very, very interesting. I'm a little surprised. A little surprised. Again, the PATC community, 25 wins, 36 losses, 2 ties. The community needs a big week here in week 9. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. No. 70% says no. Clemson does not. The PATC community takes North Carolina State. North Carolina State at home, getting 10 points. Oregon, Washington. The Ducks versus the Utes. Oh my goodness. Does Oregon cover? Does Oregon cover -6.5 point spread versus Utah? I have no idea how the PATC community is going to handle this game. At home against Utah. Cameron Rising, not a plan. Utah just defeated USC. Oregon is still playing very good football. Oregon's favored by 6.5. Bucky Irving, Bo Nix. Holy smokes. The vote starts now. No idea what you all going to do. Opie says he's going under. It's too bad we don't have that option here. AER says that Utes found an offense under some rocks. Going to give it 5 more seconds. Get your votes in. 5 more seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 56% takes Utah. Oregon does not cover, according to the PATC community. That's a fascinating game. Utah, 2-time defending, reigning, undisputed Pac-12 champions versus top 10 Oregon, who thinks they still got a shot to get to the college football playoffs. And they do. Washington's the only undefeated team in the Pac-12. That's an elimination game, basically, to get to the Pac-12 championship game. Okay. Does Georgia cover minus 14.5 point spread versus the Florida Gators. Does Georgia, the two-time reigning undisputed national champions, does Georgia cover the 14.5 spread versus Florida? The voting starts now. Badger Ron. In Mertz, we trust. He's been playing way better than I ever thought he was going to play at Florida. I got to take the L on that. My off-season prediction. We're going to give you 5 more seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 66% says yes, Georgia will cover. Very, very strong vote come in for the Georgia Bulldogs PATC community. Ooh, now this is an interesting game. Iowa State still has an opportunity to get to the Big 12 championship game. And Baylor's playing a little bit better. And this game's in Waco, so interesting game. Does Iowa State cover minus 2.5 point spread versus Baylor? Very tough, very tough. The voting starts now. Stephen Vitt says both Iowa State and Baylor are not so good. Opie says, will anybody score here? Immaculate, back to the Georgia game. Immaculate says, I think Georgia finally found themselves. It sure looks like a great many people in the community, PATC community, agrees with Immaculate on Georgia. It's a close, very, very close vote. I'm going to get it 5 more seconds. It could go into overtime. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 53 says no. 53% says no. The PATC community has taken Baylor. There's a couple games here. I thought the PATC community was going to go the other way, and that's one of them. That is one of them. Does Purdue, Nebraska, does Nebraska cover minus 2.5 point spread versus Purdue? The game is at Lincoln. The voting starts now. Jared Jones says Baylor would dominate Iowa State. Mr. Monkey says, speaking of lousy games, it's not a week of primetime football games. It's one of the reasons, not the only reason, one of the reasons why I'm having a difficult time figuring out what I'm going to do for a watch party this weekend. Going to give the vote 5 more seconds here. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And I'm going to give you a little bit of a clue. The PATC community did it once again. And I'll explain it here in a little bit. You all took Nebraska. 83% of you. 83% of you took Nebraska to cover the spread. And Well, I'll get to that game when I do my picks. This is the last one, ladies and gentlemen. This is the last one. Ohio State, Wisconsin. Does Ohio State cover minus 14.5 point spread on the road versus, whoops. Does Ohio State cover versus the Evo Badgers? Does Ohio State cover 14.5 point spread versus Wisconsin? The voting starts now. Jerry Jones says this one best be 100%. Badger Ron, Camp Randall, plus Juice fans, plus Halloween weekend equals a rowdy time in Madison, Wisconsin. This is a close vote. I'm going to give you all 5 more seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. The next vote decides it. 50-50. We're into overtime. There it is. It's over. Yes, the Buckeyes. The Buckeyes got it. That went into overtime. The PATC community takes the Ohio State Buckeyes to cover minus 14.5. It was 50-50 after 38 votes. So I'm going to quickly go through mine. Then we're going to get to your phone calls. West Virginia, Central Florida. PATC community took West Virginia. And unfortunately, I'm going to have to take Central Florida. I've gone against West Virginia the last 2 weeks. They've lost. They have not covered. I think the collapse, unfortunately, has begun. I believe Neil Brown will not be able to save his job. And I'm taking Central Florida -7 at home. I feel pretty good about that one. This one I do not feel good about because I don't know if Jalen Daniels is going to play. I don't know if he's going to play. They have a good backup. I get it. Beam is good. But he's not Jalen Daniels. And so I decided that I'm going to take the Sooners just because if Daniels is back, is he really back? I'm going to take the Sooners -10. -10, Oklahoma Sooners. And I'm taking the third favorite right out of the chute. I took UCF, I took Oklahoma, and I'm taking Clemson. Yes, they are slipping, but they're going to find themselves against a struggling North Carolina State team. Clemson comes out big on the road, and they win that game big. Oregon at Utah. You guys, PATC community took Utah, so am I. How can I not take Utah? I'm getting 6.5 points at home, and they are feeling good. I mean, they are feeling good. This is a game to try to get in that second spot right behind the Washington Huskies. Now, I'm taking Utah. I don't know if Utah is going to win, but I'll take the 6.5 points every day at home. Utah, Georgia, Florida. I'm agreeing with the PATC community. I'm taking Georgia Bulldogs. Immaculate's correct. They have found themselves. They lost Brock Bowers, but now the Bulldogs are on the roll. It's like all these players on Georgia. They know what their role is. And now they've all settled in, and now the quarterback he's developing in real time. I think Jared Jones says it's a trap. Oregon will win by 10. Well, if it's a trap, I fell right into it. Okay, next game. Iowa State Baylor. Woo-hoo-hoo-hoo. Woo, I'm taking Baylor as well. I'm taking Baylor plus 2.5. I thought the community was going to take Iowa State. I was fooled by that one. You guys fooled me. It was a close vote, but I'm taking Baylor. And I'm going to tell you something. I'm going to jump here. I'm taking Ohio State as well. The game that I'll get to the Nebraska game in a second. The only game thus far we've disagreed on is I got UCF, PATC Community's got West Virginia, I've got Clemson, you got North Carolina State. We agree on Oklahoma, Utah, Georgia, Baylor, Ohio State, but I'm taking Purdue plus 2.5. I'm taking Purdue plus 2.5. And look, I put this up earlier. I don't know if it was Tuesday or Monday's show. Let me see if I can find it. The Huskers offensive line, the injuries. They just lost Piper and Corcoran. Now, Nebraska's offensive line has been struggling. Their backups, I have read enough stuff. I've listened. I listen to 93.7 sometimes. I listen to Big Ten beat writers and stuff during the week. The Nebraska backups, they're not ready. They are not ready. Harburg he's an athletic quarterback who's a great runner. He's played better than I thought he was going to this year. But Nebraska's offense is going to do nothing. Even against Purdue. I'm afraid for Harbaugh. Nebraska's O-line is going to be absolutely dreadful this Saturday, even against Purdue. That's why I'm taking the Purdue Boilermakers. I'll take the 2.5 points. So there's another 80% voting that I go against PATC community. You guys took Nebraska at 85%. You guys usually lose those games. I'm going to be taking the Purdue Boilermakers. Okay, let's get to your phone calls. A lot of news going on. Michigan, more news. Connor Stalions communicating with a text message with a Power 5 student at the time, talking about what they did pre-COVID. Let's get to it. Let me open it up. The lines are now open. 763-260-1333. I found Jim Phillips' language fascinating. How we talked about protecting the fortress. These schools, I can't. They're going to make up their own minds on what they're going to do in the future. He's talking about Clemson, North Carolina, and Florida State. At least those schools. You can talk about or the games this weekend. You can talk about that as well. Lots of things going on in college football. Greg, did you know the Gophers played 11 freshmen against Iowa? Yeah, the Gophers backs, the young guys that are playing in the defense are getting better. They're developing. They're developing. At the beginning of the year, I was scared. I'm still scared. But now they're growing up. They're playing better. Michigan State, Minnesota, that can go either way. Come on. Minnesota's favored by 7. Who does Minnesota have running the ball? Nobody knows. How are we going to score? How's Michigan State going to score? Harburg throws that ball sidearm. Some of those throws are really good, though. He looks like a Jim Zorn. If any of you are old enough to remember Jim Zorn of the Seattle Seahawks, that's how Zorn threw the ball. He's doing fine. He's doing okay, but he was running for his life with the offensive line that they had, and they're absolutely decimated. Nebraska is decimated. Not just their O-line, their running backs, their receivers. Even, look, the game against Northwestern, they won 17-9. They're going to have even more difficulties generating offense. I'm going to take Purdue. I could be way off, but I'm going to take Purdue. Again, the phone lines are open, 763-260-1333. I know Purdue lost at home to Fresno State. Yep. They sure did. They're not a good team. They're not a good team. They're not a good team on the line of scrimmage. They're just not very good. Neither is Illinois, neither is Minnesota, neither is Nebraska. We're all in the same pot. But Nebraska is decimated. Decimated. It's going to be ugly to watch, but kind of fascinating to watch. Fascinating. Who's going to be able to generate some offense? Jim Zorn, that's old school. Jim Zorn was a lefty. Yes, he was. Yes, he was. Purdue is probably the worst team in the conference this year. Possibly. I still think the Gophers could lose to Purdue. I think the Gophers could lose to Purdue, Illinois, Wisconsin, Michigan State. I also think they might win all four of those games. But I'm telling you, the Nebraska, we'll find out. We're going to know early in the Nebraska-Purdue game. We're going to know early. But Nebraska's offense is going to be, man. Who is Harbaugh's Steve Largent? They don't have one. Nebraska's top receivers out. That little guy who's taken over the wide receiver number one spot, he's out. The whole offense is out. I don't know. I'm going to take the 2.5 points. I'm going to run with it. I am going to run with it. Taking that 2.5. Purdue's coach was giving Nebraska some bulletin board material this week. I did not hear that. Swaim has breaking news. Let me know what that is. Send me a DM in my Twitter X account. UVA is out. Out on what? I don't know what that means. Oh boy. Hold on, everybody. Hold on. Everybody in the chat, hold on. Let me see if I can get access to an article here. Hold on, everybody. Okay, we got breaking news. I am going to shut down the phone line. I'm shutting down the phone line. I apologize. Again, another bait and switch. Another bait and switch. This does not have to do with UVA. I don't know. I don't know what that's about. We got breaking news. I'm shutting down the phone line. Let me see if I can make this where we can see it better. Give me a moment, everybody. Give me a moment. Breaking news. Right off the presses. Right off the presses. Ladies and gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen. The Washington Post. Will Hobson. I don't know what's in this article. I haven't read it, obviously. I just got access to it. The NCAA probe began after a firm obtained evidence from Michigan's computers. So this did not start with the minority owner of the Minnesota Vikings, a Stapleton guy. It did not start with Ohio State. It started with the firm obtained evidence from Michigan's computers. The sign stealing investigation threatening to disrupt Michigan's football season began after an outside investigative firm approached the NCAA with documents and videos the firm said it had obtained from computer drives maintained and accessed by multiple Michigan coaches. According to two familiar people with the matter, evidence that suggests the scandal's impact could broaden beyond the suspension of one low-level assistant. Oh my God! Oh my God! Oh my God! Ladies and gentlemen, you better put out your tweets. Get people into the PATC chat. This is breaking news. We have access to a Washington Post article. Many people are not going to have access to it. Get people in the chat right now. Put it on your social media platforms. Buckle up. Buckle up. Buckle up. Here we go. I'm going to repeat. The sign stealing investigation threatening to disrupt Michigan's football season began after an outside investigation firm approached the NCAA with documents and videos. The firm said it had obtained from computer drives maintained. I'm sorry. Let me put that up. I'm sorry. Maintained and accessed by multiple Michigan coaches. According to two people familiar with the matter, evidence suggests the scandal's impact could broaden beyond the suspension of one low-level assistant. These people spoke to the condition of anonymity because they were not authorized to speak about the ongoing NCAA investigation. They did not disclose who hired the outside firm that approached the NCAA. The NCAA, the Big Ten, the Michigan declined to comment. They did not disclose who hired the outside firm. What does that mean? An outside firm was able, they obtained computer drives maintained and accessed by multiple Michigan coaches. Who hired the outside firm? Was it the NCAA? Was it the Big Ten? Was it Michigan trying to do an internal investigation? Back to the article. Last week, the Big Ten confirmed published reports that the NCAA was investigating allegations that Michigan had sent people connected to its football program to attend the games of opponents and videotape coaches as they signaled in plays. in violation of the rules that govern college football. Michigan suspended Connor Stalions, a football assistant, ESPN reported, was suspected of overseeing the alleged sign stealing operation. Coach Jim Harbaugh, in a statement, denied any acknowledged or involvement in such a scheme. While NCAA rules do not explicitly prohibit sign stealing, the practice of decoding signals opposing coaches use to send in plays to players on the field, blah, 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 blah. And according to the investigation conducted by this outside firm, Michigan football has been utilizing a sign stealing operation involving both in-person scouting as well as video recording coaches. These people said since at least last season. The outside firm investigation began this season. These people said it involved interviews with people knowledgeable about Michigan football scouting operations, as well as reviewing documents and videos related to sign stealing efforts. Last Tuesday, these people said this firm presented its evidence to top NCAA officials. The next day, the Big Ten later confirmed the NCAA informed both the conference and Michigan that it opened the investigation. Who hired this investigation firm? At this point in time, I think all of us can acknowledge that the NCAA, well, I don't know how to say, I don't know how to separate the two. The NCAA and the Big Ten, they have the goods. They have it. They have it. That this investigation firm got access into Michigan's computers. What firm was able to get access? Does the Big Ten, could they just do this? Hire investigation firm to go in a Michigan's computers? Again, I'm going to open up the phone lines as soon as possible when we get through this breaking news. Breaking news, PATC, the Washington Post. Stalions played a major role. We all know that. The outside firm did not present any evidence directly linking Harbaugh to the sign stealing operation, according to the people with knowledge. In the days since Stalions' name circulated as a key figure in the investigation, videos and photos circulated on social media taken during Michigan games showing him standing near coaches, including the team's defense offensive coordinators. Among pieces of evidence the firm presented, these people said, was a detailed schedule of Michigan's planned sign stealing travel for the rest of the season, listing opponents' schedules, which games Michigan scouts would attend. Which games Michigan scouts would attend. How much money was budgeted for travel and tickets to scout each team? This was a computer, a Michigan computer maintained by multiple Michigan coaches. The opponents targeted the most on the schedule. These people said were not surprising. Atop the list was Ohio State, Michigan's top rival in the Big Ten. Scouts plan to attend as many as 8 games, costing more than $3,000 in travel and tickets. Next on the list was Georgia, a potential Michigan opponent in the college football playoff, with 4 or 5 games scheduled for in-person scouting and video recording, also costing more than $3,000 in travel and tickets. Holy smokes. This is a college football program that is completely, entirely out of control. The only good news so far, there's no evidence directing Jim Harbaugh directly involved in this. In total, the people said Michigan sign stealing operation expected to spend more than $15,000 this season, sending scouts to more than 40 games played by 10 opponents. According to the university's public salary disclosure records, Stalions listed administrative specialists made $55,000. There's no way Stalions is spending $15,000 of his own money on this. Stalions did not reply to a message left. The outside firm also presented to NCAA officials photographs of people investigators believe to be Michigan scouts in action, including current students interning with the football team. So they know who these are. They know who they are. The photos showed these people seated at games of Michigan opponents this season, aiming their cell phones at the sideline. Days later, the outside firm told NCAA cell phone videos depicting the coaching staffs from these games were uploaded to a computer drive maintained and accessed by Stalions as well as several other Michigan assistants and coaches. And there it is. All the dots have been connected. Each and every dot has been connected. Short of Jim Harbaugh knowing anything about this, which if he didn't, he's a bumbling idiot. But there's nothing on those computer things that show that he did know. But people are going to be talking, man. No timeline. So those the videos from the phones uploaded days later onto the computer, in a computer that is accessed by Stalions as well as several other Michigan assistants and coaches. No timeline has been disclosed for when the NCAA could conclude its investigation. Harbaugh in a statement said he and the staff will fully cooperate. Well, they better be talking. They better be talking. And you better believe if they're able to, I shouldn't really say this, but I'm going to say this. Let me put it this way. If everybody starts dumping on Stalions, then Stalions is going to talk, right? And that's the article. That is the article. The main part of it is a computer, an investigative firm, we don't know who hired them, got access to a Michigan computer, gave it to the NCAA, and it has schedule, it has traveling budget. They know they're budgeting the money for it. Where's Stalions getting the money to do this? The computer is accessed by Stalions and assistants and coaches, interns. Michigan interns are involved. They're the scouts that are going to the games. More than 40 games scheduled to do this year. Computer that is accessed by coaches and assistants, not just Stalions. They're on that computer. They see the videos. They're breaking it down. Woo! Here's the thing. Yeah, we don't know if Stalions is going to talk, but Stalions might be in trouble with the Naval Academy. We went through that story earlier today. He had data access he should not have had, and he was supposed to erase it. And it's very doubtful he erased it because he took that data of 500 midshipmen student athletes, their GPA, their test scores, and developed a a data to show coaches about his theory about people with high GPAs but low test scores are going to be overperformers on the football field. Stalions might have to spill the beans on everything just to get himself out of the most trouble that he is with the Naval Academy. Potentially, allegedly, according to reports that we've already gone through today. I'd be sick to my stomach if I was a Michigan fan. At some point, the anger that some Michigan fans have towards people reporting the story is going to be turned in towards Michigan. It just is. This is ridiculous. This is a grand cheating scheme. They got. Michigan got caught. And again, if you say, well, who cares? It's cheating. Doesn't matter. Go again. Listen to what Bob Stoops and other coaches are saying. But to video people, to send people to scout, to marry up a signal with a play, no, that's terrible. Bob Stoops. Other coaches are saying the same thing. Now we're going to open up the phone lines. Now, again, I had to cut in. Again, we had to change it. Breaking news in the middle of a live show. Washington Post. The Washington Post. Let's put it up there one more time. The Washington Post. A lot of people don't know that this is breaking news. NCAA probe began after firm obtained evidence from Michigan's own computers. Ladies and gentlemen, who hired that firm? Who hired that firm? Number one. How was the firm able to get into the Michigan computers? I mean, they must have had legal access. Was this Michigan's own internal investigation? Or does the NCAA have... Was this part of that Weiss, a member of the Michigan coaching staff, when that whole computer thing, when that whole Michigan story, when I don't. And where is Stalions getting this money? Again, give us a call. 763-260-1333.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God.
Unbelievable. Truly unbelievable. Michigan outcook. Playoff committee may step in, but not likely. I'm not going to I would not slam the door on any possibility right now. This was a concerted effort by Michigan to do something that no one else is doing, in-person scouting, to grab a huge advantage. This goes to the integrity, the competition with inside not only the Big Ten, but the college football playoffs. Remember, Michigan could be taking a spot from some other team outside the Big Ten. That is why I think the Big Ten is going to jump in here. Exactly what the punishment's going to be, it would be just a wild guess. I think the Big Ten's going to act. We talked about it yesterday. It's their integrity now is on the line because the waves of this scandal has gone over the shores of the Big Ten. Wow. Give us a call, 763-260-1333. Greg, do not expect an invitation to Stalions' house for Thanksgiving. I'll just be eating my own turkey, my own mashed potatoes, and of course stuffing. So if you can't do the time, don't commit the crime. I mean, come on. Let's Moen hired them. Good one, Opie. I mean, who hired this firm? Give me a call. 763-260-1333. Who hired the firm? How did they get access to Michigan's computers? Michigan didn't know this was going on. Obviously. The first time that this gentleman's scouts did not show up at a game was Penn State and Ohio State. The game last week. Michigan did not know this was going. When did this investigation start? I don't think it really said in the article. Unbelievable.
Call from
Immaculate.
Immaculate. First of all, let me just hold you up for a second. Then I'm not going to hold you up again. I promise. Unless there's more breaking news. I mean, my head is on a swivel here. I'm getting stuff that I'm not even going to act on right now. Expedition Greg. Michigan should be declared ineligible for the Big Ten East title and not allowed in the Big Ten title game. And Expedition Greg, thank you so much for your super chat. I appreciate your generosity, helping us keep the lights on. Our only fuel is your donations. I appreciate it so much. Yesterday, Expedition Greg, if you would have put that super chat up and made that comment, I would have said, yeah, maybe, but probably not, because I'm in this mode of where Michigan's going to lose a couple of scholarship players and maybe now get a bowl ban. This here, Expedition Greg, this has to be on the table. It has to be. It has to be. Immaculate, tell Expedition Greg and myself that we are nuts, that we're overreacting. Immaculate, the floor is yours. Holy smokes.
Oh, no. Like, this is pretty wild. This seems more like movie content than actual this is going on. Because if this outside company had access to their computers, I would say that it would seem like this was what we would call an inside job. I mean, they had to have access. It's not a government authority, and if they're getting access without proper authority, then that might actually be the bigger crime.
Yeah.
So I mean, they got access, and they were brought in by someone with access. They, empowered them to do this.
But who though? I
don't know.
Is this in Michigan?
I saw someone tweet a name, like literally said a name, and I don't know if I want to repeat the name because I don't know if it's true, but it's a former regent, and I don't know.
Stapleton? Is that the name?
Who?
Stapleton?
Yeah, I think that's what they said.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I got to get into that story. I don't want to get into that. He's a partial owner of the Minnesota Vikings. He can't stand Harbaugh, but if he's hiring a firm, would they be able to get access? I don't think they'd be able to get access unless they do it illegally.
He hired him. I mean, he knows someone else there who could get that. I mean, once, even though if you maybe not there, you still have connections.
Can I ask you a question? And I know I just promised you I wasn't going to interrupt you, but I want to make sure I get this question to you.
Yeah.
Would the Big Ten have oversight? Could they go into any athletic department's computer and set up an investigation? Could the Big Ten do this?
I can't say for sure, but I think they do. I think that the conference has some given authority to them to act in these types of things. And if they had other evidence that led them to believe this, then they might have engaged the firm. I guess that's possible. I certainly can't say that's the most likely or most probable, but there is some talk that the Big Ten is going to get involved with this first and exercise their own authority to, punish based upon their own bylaws. And I actually think that might be more powerful than the NCAA.
Yeah.
But also, look, they're going to come in hard probably on Michigan.
Yeah.
But their overall goal is probably to protect Michigan from long-term permanent damage that outsiders might want to cause. Because once it goes to the NCAA, now you're in a different court, right? So I would expect the Big Ten to act, and if they're the ones that, as you're saying is possible, if they're the ones that instigated it, then that means they're sitting on the evidence. So
wow.
whenever they decide to come out and say what they're going to do, which I think the Big Ten will be the first one to come out, because the NCAA, they can know stuff, but how do they prove stuff? But I do believe the Big Ten Conference itself has been empowered by the conference members to do investigations internally. If I'm not mistaken, do you think that sounds right?
I think it sounds right. And I had someone reach out to me and say, and told me that the athletic directors want to get together and start voting on stuff in regards to Michigan. Not that would have any binding ties to whatever the Big Ten does, but the athletic directors themselves want to get together and they want to start voting on stuff against Michigan. So, I mean, I think at this point with the Washington Post story and everything else we're hearing is they don't lack evidence, right? They don't lack evidence. Other than they don't have any direct Jim Harbaugh ties to this scheme. But that doesn't even... It might matter in regards to Jim Harbaugh's future outside of Michigan, but when it comes to the punishment or whatever happens to Michigan, that has really no... This is a football program that's out of control, right? So I don't think that little bit of good news is going to have any effect on what happens to Michigan, potentially this year.
Oh, it could happen this year. That might be the sacrifice the Big Ten has to make in order to protect Michigan long term.
And to protect the Big Ten.
Absolutely. But that's protecting Michigan is protecting the Big Ten. That's a major part of the value.
Yes, sir. Yep.
Michigan Ohio State game is the only game that happens in which it has to be a certain time and it has to be that's part of their TV deal. Like it's the only matchup. So it's actually a big part of their TV contract as well. So the Big Ten needs to protect them. As ugly as this is, and I get why people want blood. Because this went outside of the conference. They were doing this in other schools. Who knows who else got access to that information? Maybe other schools did too. Well, we don't know. But the Big Ten, I do believe, is going to jump on this one, and you're going to see them come out swinging a big stick. But just remember, whatever they're doing to Michigan, it's not going to be like a long-term, permanent, program can't act, program can't do anything. It's, I think they'll be suspended for multiple years from post-game play. Harbaugh will probably have to retire. Going to get hit. Scholarships, but it might be for like 5 years. We don't know.
Stephen McNeely, as punishment, Michigan should have to give their signals to opponents for the next 3 years. No big deal, right, Michigan fans? Thank you, Stephen McNeely, for the super chat. I appreciate your continued generosity to the show. Thank you so much, Mr. McNeely. Immaculate, go ahead. I don't want to get too far behind on the super chats because for whatever reason, I'm not smart enough to keep track. I'm an idiot. People are generous with this channel. I appreciate it. But the host is a moron who, for whatever reason, always loses one super chat during the show. And I want to apologize to the PATC community for that. Again, Immaculate, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I actually, just from a logic sense, that actually makes a lot of sense. They should do that. That's not what they'll do.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I agree. Get a little eye for eye on this one. That would work. But, yeah, I don't know. That's my guess. I'm just guessing here.
We know the history of the NCAA. We know it takes them a long time to do investigation. We know that Michigan, according to the NCAA bylaws, has 90 days to even respond to any whatever, All that may be true, but the Big Ten, Tony Petitti has pretty good leeway on when it comes to actions that affects the integrity of competition inside the conference. And I think, Immaculate, I think you agree with me here. Big Ten's got the evidence. So the time, to gather evidence takes, most of the time takes a lot of time, right? In this case, they've got it right here. They've got it. Yep. So what's going to be the holdup for Big Ten to do whatever punishment they're going to do? It's probably internally trying to figure out this, because this is unprecedented. What are they going to do politically inside the conference? As you mentioned, Immaculate, Michigan is such a valuable piece of the conference. But the evidence part of it, that's not a holdup. That's not a holdup. They've got it. They've got it.
Yeah, and to put this into a bigger perspective here, to go even farther out with our angle, there's an ongoing battle against the NCAA, and I'd like to think that it's actually based upon the 8-4 with much of the FBS help. This is going to be one hell of an example for them to hold up and say, look how much more quickly we can deal with this than the NCAA can. So it's one more nail in that coffin, because like you're saying, the NCAA can't do anything with this. The Big Ten doesn't have to hand them over any evidence they have.
Yeah.
Big Ten schools do have to cooperate with the Big Ten Conference office for investigation. They don't have to with the NCAA. And so it's not really a fair fight, but it's one that's probably one more angle of leverage used against the NCAA when all is said and done. It's going to cost the Big Ten.
Yeah, again, we're having new people join our chat because this is breaking news. I just want to show them the Washington Post. Immaculate, you can keep talking. I want to show it. Just give me 2 minutes, Immaculate, just to go over this. There's new people.
And I can let you go. There's probably going to be other people who want to come in and talk to you.
All right. Thank you, sir. I appreciate it.
Yep. Talk to you later, bud.
Yeah. Let me get to the Washington Post here. NCAA probe began after firm obtained evidence from Michigan's computers. The probe began. The NCAA probe began after a firm obtained evidence from Michigan computers. We don't know who the firm is. We don't know who hired the firm. The firm approached the NCAA with documents and videos. The firm said it had obtained from computer drives maintained and accessed by multiple Michigan coaches, according to two people familiar with the matter. Evidence that suggests the scandal's impact could broaden beyond the suspension of one low-level assistant. And I don't know how it can't. I do not know how it can't. Now, these people spoke on the condition of anonymity because they were not authorized to speak about the ongoing NCAA investigation. They did not disclose who hired the outside firm. And the NCAA, the Big Ten, the Michigan declined to comment. So whatever firm was hired, they were able to get access to Michigan, and I got to believe it was legally. So who hired this firm? Was it Michigan doing an internal investigation? Was it the Big Ten? Does the Big Ten have the ability to hire an investigation firm to get into Michigan's computers without Michigan knowing it or with Michigan knowing it either way? Does the Big Ten Conference have that type of authority? I do not know. Another big part of this article is the money. The money was budgeted and the numbers were in this computer. The video recording, the travel. This season operation was budgeted to spend $15,000. 40 games played by 10 opponents. And the gentleman running all this only makes $55,000 when it comes to Michigan. So it was budgeted. This information was in the Michigan's computer. So this was an organized, large, in-person scouting ring, which is prohibited since 1994. And another big part of this, and I missed it, I'll just talk about it. It was in the article. That interns of Michigan were used as the scouts to go to these football stadiums to film with their phone. And the evidence is in the Michigan computer that days later, after these interns filmed the opponent's sideline, the coaches, that the videos were downloaded into the Michigan computer, which Connor Stalions had access, assistants had access, and Michigan coaches had access. Big Ten Ted's in the house. Anybody have a Washington Post subscription? Well, we went through it. Big Ten Ted, if you're still in the chat, give me a call. Let me know what you think. Does Big Ten have the authority to hire a firm to get into Michigan's computers without Michigan knowing it? Is that legal? Can the Big Ten do that? Give me a call, Big Ten Ted. Let me know what you're thinking. 763-260-1333. Do we know, now PSU Nitwit is talking about Stapleton. We don't know what authority would Stapleton have in hiring a firm in which that firm would get access to the Michigan computers. Are we sure that Stapleton, I'm not committed to that idea yet. I'm not committed to that idea that Stapleton was the one who started all this. Because if Stapleton, as an alumni, the Board of Regents, does he have the authority to do this? Would a Board of Regents have the authority to do this without anybody knowing, without the athletic department knowing about it? I'm going to guess no. But I don't know for sure. There is absolutely. It's not a coincidence. It's not an isolated incident. The videos are in the server. There is some large questions still to be answered. The money, who's paying Connor Stalions to do this, and who hired that firm? How did they get access?
Call from
Big Ten Ted.
Big Ten Ted is on the line. Ted, you got to help me out here because I don't have any answers to my own questions.
I'll try my best. My best.
Who hired this? Who hired this firm, man? And how did they get access to the computers? How did Michigan not know this was going? Like the investigation was going on. There's so many questions.
So I'm just getting home, and like I just said in the chat, I don't have a Washington Post subscription, so I've yet to go through and read the article. And what exactly is happening. But there's so many holes in this story where you kind of look around and you think, how could they allow that to happen? How could he do this? How could he do that? Of course, it starts with
Connor Stalions
Yeah.
and this whole thing. But I don't know. Like, this was kind of the one thing, what it sounds like, and maybe once I'm done here, you can kind of give me a quick elevator speech on what this Washington Post thing is all about.
Yeah.
Because I haven't had time to read it. But right now, it sounds like that this is, because the main thing, I mentioned this in my video earlier in the week on my channel. It's just like, okay, you've got him filming out at some of these facilities, some of these other games, but the video, was the video able to get back into the Michigan facility? Were they using this for a competitive advantage? And now it kind of sounds like that's the direction we're kind of headed.
Yeah, the videos were downloaded into this Michigan computer.
Oh, jeez. Okay.
So yeah, that was a big missing piece. Now we know the answer to that. Why would that be happening if you weren't going to use that film? And it happened days in the downloading of the video from the phones that were used by the interns in Michigan. They were downloading the computer days later after they took the video. So it's
and this is the cell phone video that everybody's been talking about the last.
Yes, and it's more than once. I mean, it probably happened at every single.
Wow.
Wow.
So the big thing for me, and I know you guys, I think you guys were just talking about it, is can the Big Ten step up and do something? I think someone said in the chat, could this be the catalyst? Right, everybody's talking about big conferences breaking away from the NCAA.
Yeah.
And I've heard and I've read that the conference does have the authority to hand down some penalties. How strict those penalties are, maybe I still have to do some research on that. Maybe this is kind of an unprecedented situation where they can really step up and these things can happen. I think the big thing, everybody, that I want to know, can something happen during the season? Is it going to happen quick enough? We know the NCAA. NCAA is not going to do anything during the season. That's not going to happen. It's going to be 2024. It's going to be 2025. It took them, 6-7 years to figure out what's going on with Kansas basketball and all that stuff. Like, this is going to take forever on their end. But the Big Ten might speed this up a little bit because they want to keep if they really think that the integrity of the game is in jeopardy, they might want to speed this up and hand down their own penalties. And then I think you guys were talking about how much Michigan means to the league, right? You can't bring them down too much. Some might say because they are such a big member and such a big cash cow to this conference. So it's kind of it's a line that the conference has to toe right now. And I do not envy the position that Tony Petitti and company are in right now. I'll say that.
The notion that, Michigan did this, right? They did this. And the waves of this scandal, though, has gone over the shores of the Big Ten. And it's gone into SEC country. It went into Oregon. Yeah. They schemed this out nationally for potential playoff contenders. So that, to me, makes Big Ten have to act. They have to, for the integrity of the college football playoffs itself. I think, now this is just a prediction because obviously I do not know. I don't know anything right now. My head is spinning, Ted. I think they eliminate Michigan's ability to go to the Big Ten championship game this year. How can you have this incredible, huge cloud hanging over the head of this and let this happen? And let Michigan go have an opportunity to go to the college football playoffs. I think the Big Ten has to. I think they have to step in. I'm probably being naive here, Ted, but I think they will step in at this point.
If they have the proof. If they have the proof, and we've seen many cases throughout the years where the head coach insists in different cases. Head coach insists, I didn't know anything. Pat Fitzgerald didn't know anything. Well, you should have known, right? It's kind of damned if you do, damned if you don't. You're kind of, it's just like, well, you knew and it still happened. Okay, that's bad. You didn't know. Well, you should have known. So now that what you're telling me based on this article is what they're saying is the video was downloaded and it was used in-house for a competitive advantage. Whether Jim Harbaugh knew about it or not seems irrelevant because the video found its way into headquarters in Ann Arbor and was used, whether it was used by assistant coaches or maybe the big man himself. I don't think it matters at this point. And you're right. I think the Big Ten, if they know, and if this is the proof, if this Washington Post article, if this is everything that connects it all together, then they have to act. They have to act.
Big
and
Ten
from my point,
can you hold 1 second?
Go for it.
I want to even blow your mind a little bit more here, if that's possible. One St. Cloud State alumnus to another. I just gotta get this super chat, but I have another angle to this that I want to hear what you're thinking. Are you going live tonight? What are you doing tonight?
I was planning on recording an Ohio State Wisconsin preview, but I think that's going to have to be put on the back burner, unfortunately. Yeah. Got a lot going on here.
Yeah. Let me know. Let me know if you're going live. Let me know if you want me to go on your show and tell you I have absolutely no idea what's going on. Okay.
Oh my gosh.
Okay. Heartbreak 25. Thank you for the super chat. My theory is that multiple schools complained to the Big Ten. The Big Ten contacted Michigan's president, and the president gave the Big Ten access to investigate without alerting the football program. This is a brilliant comment, even if it's not true. Do you want me to read that again, Big Ten Ted?
I know your stream is on a little bit of a delay, but I do see it on the screen right now, and I'm reading over it multiple times here.
Yeah, a brilliant comment. Thank you for the super chat, Heartbreak 25. That's a better theory than what I've come up with so far, which is not surprising because the PATC community is levels more intelligent than I am. That is a great theory. Big Ten Ted, as you marinate over that great comment, I want to throw one more angle at you. I know you're a busy man. I know your phone is probably blowing up. You got to get into this story some more. By the way, Heartbreak 25, thank you once again for your generosity. Big Ten Ted, what is Jim Harbaugh, Michigan's record against the spread since they've been doing this in person?
It's a lot better. It's a lot better than it was back before 2021. Is what I believe I saw.
It's like 22-6-1 or something. It's outrageous. What? So this brings up. This could have been used for betting. I'm not saying it was. There's no one's reported, no evidence. This could have been used for betting purposes, people connected to Connor Stalions. I'm not saying it was. There's no proof. But this is affecting things outside of even the Big Ten and the SEC and contenders to go to the college football playoffs. This is gigantic, man. This is unbelievable.
This is the more levels, I think when this originally came out last week, what was that, Thursday or Friday? I can't remember what day. I think it was a Dellinger report that first came out. And a lot of people were kind of, hey, you're going to do something on it. And I just told them, wait. Yeah. I'm never the person this is that St. Cloud State report, that advanced reporting class, right? That taught me this in all my training. Sometimes it's not good to be first. It's good to be right. And sometimes if you wait a little bit, you'll be rewarded. And it seems like the more I wait and the more a lot of other people wait, the more layers of the onion continue to peel back. And you realize, this is a pretty big onion. You keep peeling it back and you keep peeling it back, and more reports really start to come out. And it continues to get worse. And as from my point of view and the niche that I've carved out, it sucks, and I hate it because Michigan is the best opportunity for this league to win a national championship.
Yep.
Not saying Ohio State can't do it, because they can. Penn State gets it together on offense. Not saying they can't do it and flip this thing around, but it's unfortunate that, because Michigan didn't need to do it.
No.
Like I heard earlier in the week, you can have an opinion in whatever way you want on Colin Cowherd, but I heard him say earlier in the week, he said, if Purdue was doing it, nobody would care. But that's the thing, is Purdue, I love my Boilermakers. I love all hail the black and gold, right?
Yeah.
I love trains.
Yeah.
But Purdue is a team that you could maybe see pulling to get, an extra 3, 4, whatever wins. Michigan is already a supremely talented team.
Yeah.
Now, it's so hard for me and a lot of other people to say, how much of an advantage do stealing signs give? How many wins does stealing signs equal? Like they've beaten, 42-27, 17, 20-point wins over Ohio State. Yeah. Does that mean it's 42-35 instead? I mean, we just don't know. We'll never know that. So how much of an advantage? The point I'm trying to make is, stealing signs or not, the talent is there for Michigan. It's a 10 or 11 win team, at least, just talent alone. And then they go out and do something like this. Like everybody's kind of tying it back to the Houston Astros. Houston Astros were a great baseball team. Did they need to cheat to win a World Series? Maybe not.
Yeah.
But they were at least had enough talent to be in at least the ALCS and be at that type of level. And that's what makes, I think, this. But then again, maybe they view this as, this is the little advantage we need to get to that next level, to get to that next step. Instead of winning 10 like Penn State, right? They're stuck in a 10-2 type of level right now.
Yeah.
Maybe Michigan thought, maybe this is a little bit of an advantage we need to beat Ohio State. This is a little bit of an advantage we need to win a Big Ten title and compete for a national title.
Well, according to coaches that are coming out talking about this in-person scouting can be a huge advantage. Bob Stoops, I'll just read it real quick, Big Ten Ted. Bob Stoops, if I can find Bob Stoops says, if it's true, oh, absolutely, that's ridiculous. Listen, everyone acts like it happens all the time. No, it doesn't. I've never heard that in all my years of football. Everywhere, every team I've ever been on. Sure, we do look across the field. And if you can, let me post this up on the screen. Sorry about that. I don't have it posted here. Hold on. Whoops. Hold on one second. Sorry. Okay. Here we go. Oh, it's true. Absolutely. That's ridiculous. Listen, everyone acts like it happens all the time. No, it doesn't. This is Bob Stoops. I've never heard that in all my years of football and everywhere. Every team I've ever been on. Sure, we do look across the field. And if you can see it, that's your job to do. If I'm able just in my plain eye to look over there and know what they're doing, I should be doing that. But to video people, or to send people to scout and marry up a signal with a play, no, that's terrible. It goes against everything we're about. That's wrong. If it happened, I'm not saying it did, never heard of that, never been around anybody who has done it. So people are coming out pretty hard against it.
Yeah, that's the first I'm seeing of this Bob Stoops quote right here, which I think says a lot. I think it's obviously very, very highly respected in the college football community. It's very, and it's right in the middle of the season. It's just like right in the heart. And imagine if Michigan were playing a game this week, and you could maybe even flip that a couple of different ways as they play Purdue. They got a bye week this week, but they played Purdue on Big Ten Saturday night. Was that November 4th or whatever the next date of the next game is? There's going to be a lot of questions. There's going to be a lot of imagine what more. We've seen this much come out in 3 days or 4 days, whatever it's been. Imagine what's going to happen by the time Michigan eventually plays a game.
Yeah.
Who knows? Who knows what the Big Ten's going to do? There's so much. Like I want to do content. I want to talk about how J.J. McCarthy is a potential Heisman leader, and believe me, I want to talk about Michigan till I'm maize and blue in the face. But this is just such a cloud. I've kind of put those on the back burner right now because this is such a cloud. Whether you think Michigan hasn't broken any rules, this is a very divisive topic, is what I found out. I'm trying to remain in the middle. It's maybe now with this report, maybe that's less of a thing now. But up until this morning, it was you're either Michigan didn't break any rules or they broke all of the rules and they should get the death penalty. It just seemed like there were just two extremes to this whole situation. And from my perspective, I'm trying to hang in the middle. I mean, I'd like to do this Michigan content, but there's such a shadow hanging over the Wolverines right now that it's very difficult to kind of go ahead and do that without talking about the sign stealing situation right now for the Wolverines. So, this is, is the Big Ten, are we kind of in the back of our heads with this hanging over? Like I said, I think Michigan on the field is the best chance for this conference to finally win their first national title since 2014. But are we kind of in the back of our head saying, hey, maybe Ohio State, if they win the league, we could kind of, be a little bit, we don't have this hanging over our head in terms of in the playoff or whatever it is. Or maybe if Penn State gets it together, they beat Michigan in State College on Veterans Day, and then maybe they can turn it around. We'll see. I don't know. Maybe that is, maybe it isn't for some of these fans out there. But it's a very unfortunate story. It's very unfortunate. It's not necessary. And I'm very curious because we know Jim Harbaugh has flirted with the NFL the last 2 years. Yeah. But what are NFL teams going to think about this? I'm just, maybe it won't be as big of a deal. He's still going to be, highly sought after at the NFL level. What happens to Jim Harbaugh? I said this in my video earlier in the week. I would be shocked if Jim Harbaugh coaches college football next season. I would be shocked if he's back at Michigan at this point, considering his flirtations with the NFL, his recruiting during a COVID dead period. Now this, I would just be very surprised. Now what's going to happen?
I'd be
can he
surprised
the
if
NFL
he's ever on
the
sideline again, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I think we're getting to that. That's I think the point I'm trying to make. That's where we're getting. Is the NFL might look at this guy and go like, I don't know. And we know the whole thing with the Patriots, and so I don't know if they want to touch him now after all that's gone on. If this ends up really escalating and bringing him down, so to speak, at Michigan, it's tough. I said this before early in the week. I'm so sick of Big Ten scandals. I'm not gonna sit here and say, I know some people have talked about being targeted and all this, stuff happens in the SEC and all that. I understand. Look, it's a difficult line and a difficult beam to balance, so to speak, but it's just, it's been a rough, I don't know. I mean, I'm only 32 years old. I've been following this league since I was like 10 or whatever. So give or take 20 years. We've had our fair share of scandals. No doubt about it throughout the course of this conference. But I don't know if I've ever seen this many in 1 year. I just, from Northwestern right before football season to Mel Tucker. And right at when we thought Mel Tucker, we're like, whoa, that's a year and a half right there, And then you throw in cheeseburgers, and then you throw in sign stealing.
Oh my God!
Greg, I just want to sit here and talk about football. That's all I want to talk about. I want to talk about off tackles, who's got the better lines, who's got the more explosive receivers. I don't know. That's just where I'm kind of ranting on the show right now. Sorry, but
oh my God!
You rant on mine, I rant on yours. I think that's just how it works out.
Great. All right, Big Ten Ted. We'll see if you come up live tonight.
All right.
But thanks for the call, man. Thanks for your angle on it. Look, I did not take the middle from the very beginning. I did say there's a good chance Michigan's could be 100% innocent. But those reporters, how they reported it the first time, you could tell they had a whole bunch more information going to be handed to them here shortly. And I've lost a lot of Michigan subscribers. Michigan fans are mad at me. That happens to me all the time on this show. And hopefully they understand that we have to cover the story. We got to go where the story goes, Big Ten Ted. So
So yeah, I know. Sometimes it's hard to reason with some Michigan folks out there. Let's just say
it's hard to reason with the Gopher folks. So, all righty, sir.
All right.
Appreciate it. Great
All right,
call.
we'll see you.
That is Big Ten Ted. Catch him on the show. Does an incredible job. Absolutely. Oops, someone just dropped the line. Give us a call back. Give us a call back. The lines are now open. 763-260-1333. Tony, Tough Tony says, great call. LFG says, great call. Great call, Ted, by J.D. Turtle. Yeah, he does. He's unbelievable. Big Ten Ted.
Call from
PSU Nitwit.
PSU Nitwit, the floor is yours, man. What are you thinking?
Hey, Greg. Hey, this is just absolutely crazy. I'm at my desk here throwing my fair hand signals up. Fair catch.
Yeah.
I think we've got some. I need you to put your Inspector Gadget outfit on for us. And I think there's some breadcrumbs going through this entire story in a sense that, especially this Washington Post story that came out, like, obviously you were asking the question about permissions for the computer. So if you think back about this, who informed the other schools when this first came out? It was the Big Ten, right?
What was that?
The Big Ten Conference. Who informed the schools of future opponents on Michigan's schedule about this sign stealing?
Big Ten.
It was the Big Ten.
Ten. Yep, good point. Yeah, Big
Right.
Ten.
So they're already involved. So there's breadcrumb number one, right?
Yes, sir.
So now you have this, that it's a systematic operation, right?
Yes.
Greg? We've confirmed that.
Yes.
Funded by the program. We have confirmed that.
Yes.
It was budgeted.
Yes.
Right. So put your breadcrumbs on, right?
Yeah.
These breadcrumbs are leading to something. Now we know that it had to be. I mean, you can't. I mean, I'm not know this for sure, but access to the university computers had to be approved by somebody at the university.
You would
There's
think
another
so.
breadcrumb.
Yeah.
So, regardless of the reports out there with Stapleton and all those things,
Yeah, at the Stapleton.
somebody or
yeah, I don't know.
somebody or something, regardless of whether that's true or not, somebody or some entity in the Michigan University had to approve this agency for the access to the computers, correct?
I would guess so. Yes. Yes.
So there's another breadcrumb, right?
Yeah.
So I just want to throw out there, like, this is, I mean, I am so sick of seeing some other channels and these national pundits being like, well, this is no big deal. Everybody does this. I saw Get Up this morning with
Yeah, that was
somebody on there
terrible.
with Jeff Saturday. Like, what are you talking about?
There's
It's like
people
everybody's doing it.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Greg.
No, I agree. Jeff Saturday. There's a few more out there that I don't even think they're taking the time to even understand 1/20th of the story, and they're just going up there and they're just saying,
Yeah.
it's just a lack
Yeah, I
of.
mean, even
Yeah.
some reputable channels
Yeah.
have really taken me like, whoa, man. Like,
Yeah.
I'll be honest with you, Greg. If I knew my university was doing this,
Yeah,
I'd be a little upset about it.
I'd be so.
What about
pissed.
you?
Yeah.
If Minnesota was doing this, would you be upset?
Oh, I would be so angry. Because we'd still be lousy anyways. I mean, look, Minnesota has had its share of scandals, and more than their share, and it hurts us, and it's killed us.
Well, Penn State has one too. So.
Yeah, it's just, I'd be very upset, and I think we'll probably see Michigan, a little bit more Michigan fans starting to turn on what the heck was going on here.
Yeah, and that's what I mean. Like, I posted on my Twitter, my Twitter channel, there's a video of James Franklin was asked a question today, and somebody took the play that he was talking about. So basically somebody asked him about the cheating scandal, and he went through a scenario at one time
where they were in a big set. You know how they bring the tight ends in and everything?
Yeah.
And usually defenses aren't in a cover 2.
Yep.
And he said during the game when I saw that just hit me in the head. Like, wait, they're in cover 2? Like they knew they weren't going to run the ball, that was actually a deep pass play?
Yeah, I saw
and
that.
that was signaled in? I mean, that's an advantage, Greg. Let me tell you.
Yeah.
As somebody that played linebacker
at
a Division III level, a high school level, Western PA playoffs, you're going to tell me I know the play before the offense lines up? Oh, thank you. I'll take that any day, Greg.
Yeah.
So this is not – what makes it cheating is the operation, the evidence of how systematic it was, right?
Yeah.
Other programs weren't doing this. You know what I mean? That creates the unfair advantage.
Yeah.
So I just want to throw it out there that this is like serious. And I think the Big Ten, they're already involved. Like I think that was a signal when they went to future opponents and said, "Hey, start changing your signals because this is a problem." I think it's embarrassing for them if I was in the Big Ten office because now I know you went to Tennessee.
Yeah.
You went to Alabama.
Yes.
You went to Georgia.
Yes. Oregon.
Now there's evidence you might have went to Oregon.
Yeah.
You don't think that's embarrassing?
Yeah, it is.
You don't think if you were sitting in a chair in the Big Ten right now, you wouldn't be a little ticked off?
Yeah. I agree.
You don't think Greg Sankey might give you a call and say, "Hey, what's going on?"
Yes. Yeah.
So I think this is like for all those Michigan fans in denial, man.
Yeah.
Like obviously, whether it's stapled or not, somebody in your university granted access to this evidence. And I think the reporting that I was looking at was that it's not confirmed. It's not out there. And I understand, Greg, that this Stapleton guy, the Board of Regents guy, got onto the NCAA rules committee or something.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe at that time this stuff was worked out and bringing up. Not saying he did it.
Yeah.
I understand he's a big-time guy. But somebody from the university granted the access to this information. So what's that tell us, Greg? They're not circling the wagons there. There's your last breadcrumb, right?
Yeah.
Like if I went to you, Greg, and let's say I was a big time guy at your university and said, "Hey, I'm kind of discontented here, and I'm hearing all these things, and I need you to check this out." And you thought this was crazy, would you do it? You'd circle the wagons, wouldn't you? Like, hey, wait a second here. Like, I don't think that's happening at Michigan. I think they know there's something wrong.
Yeah.
And they're saying, here you go. Here you go.
Yeah.
Because I guarantee you the other members of the Big Ten, I mean, I didn't realize how strong it was until James Franklin interviewed today.
Yeah.
When he went through a play, and they actually played the play on the Twitter thing of what he was talking about. You don't think the other members of the Big Ten are losing their minds right now? The other
multiple
athletic directors?
Yeah. Multiple reports says that the Big Ten, the people in the Big Ten are mad. Yes. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I think the Big Ten will have to act, and I don't think they will. I think probably the harshest one would be no Big Ten championship.
Yeah.
So I just want to call in. And I know, Greg, like I said, you have the smartest audience in college football.
Yes.
Proud to be a part of it. Great show.
I appreciate it.
And then we got Penn State and Michigan coming up here soon, so we'll see how that goes. You take care, man.
Yeah, thank you, man. Great call. PSU, Nitwit Lions. Great call. Fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. We're going to close it up on this live show. We've been on longer for 2 hours. We've covered everything. It's only Wednesday. It's only Wednesday this week. We did our picks against the spread. We covered the USC, what Jim Phillips said on ACC tip-off for basketball. And we've covered this Michigan story in the breaking news. During live show, Washington Post, an investigation firm was hired. We don't know who. They got access into the Michigan computers. We don't know how. But the information that the investigated firm got and they delivered to the NCAA, holy smokes. The in-person scouting scheme of Michigan, it was budgeted for $15,000 this year. That information was in the computer. There was film downloaded by the interns in Michigan, the iPhones, in 2 days after they would film a game in a stadium, filming the future opponent's coaching staff on the sideline, filming the hand signals. Days later, that film, that tape would be downloaded into Michigan's computer. Michigan's computer that not only did Connor Stalions have access to, but a computer that the assistant coaches had access to, the coaching staff in Michigan had access to. It's all there. The NCAA has it all. The Big Ten knows what's going on. The Big Ten has to act. They have to act soon. Maybe not this week, maybe not next week, but they have to act before this season is over. That's our strongly held opinion here at Big Ten, at PATC. No question about it. This is a scandal. It's a huge one. Michigan's going to be Michigan again someday. But this is a massive scandal on a massive scale. Michigan in-person scouting. It had breadth to it. It was complex. And it was funded by who? It wasn't by Connor Stalions, I can tell you that. Who was the investigation firm that got access into the Michigan computer? Who hired them? How did they get access to the Michigan computers without it being illegal? These are the questions that we still have to get answered. So stick with us here at Peek Around the Corner. We're going to hang on to the story and a whole bunch of other stories that are going on in the college football landscape. Before you leave, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Smash the like button if you like our content. And share the video with your family and your friends. Until next time. From all of us at PATC, to all of you, please, you all take great care of each other. Thank you so very much.